In the case of Richard Allen, the jury seemed to take the side of, well, he must have been faking it. And that's certainly what the prosecution wanted everyone to believe. They had their uh, psychologist come on the stand, the prison doctor, and talked about all that. She believed he was competent. The expert that came in for Richard Allen, not remotely saying the same thing. Let's talk about faking it. Obviously, when you're behind bars, there probably is a lot of feigning. There probably is a lot of people who are trying
Yeah.
to fake it so they can get moved to another facility or whatever their goal may be. How easy is it? How difficult, I should ask you, is it to recognize when someone is feigning versus not?
It can be difficult, and you really do have to spend time with people. One of the things that you look for is the behavior, if it's psychotic appearing behavior, depression, or whatever. Is it consistent over time, or does it come and go? Obviously, a person that's consistently mentally ill, that carries more weight than somebody who seems to have just these transitory symptoms. But you also look for the severity of it, and I think the thing that really tipped the evidence for me was the self-injury, the degree that he was banging his head on the wall, and then of course the eating feces, as I've said many times. I've never seen anybody feign by doing that, although it is something that sometimes people in a severe state of psychosis will do. And so I think it's something you have to spend time with. You have to look at the person consistently, and then, of course, as we've talked about, there are tests that you can give. You can give more in-depth psychological tests that a person who's feigning, it will show up in a certain specific pattern, and versus when a person is legitimately ill.
They had all this time to try and figure out the answers to this question. Why did it seem so difficult to do that, in your opinion, in this case? Did they just not want to go down the roads to get the answers that would truly define what is going on? Because maybe the assumptions where they're left are more in play for a certain verdict versus not.
Yeah, it's very frustrating to me whenever I see professionals that don't seem to go the extra mile, to get the right kind of information that they should have. And that's what it looks like to me, is that they just didn't bother. And if they didn't bother in this case, how many other cases are there where they just don't bother to find out what's really going on with someone? So it's very troubling.
There doesn't seem to be a lot of connection, or not necessarily connection, but I guess weight. The weight that those of us outside the criminal justice system put on mental health versus the criminal justice system itself. There seems to still be quite a big disconnect in understanding what certain things can do to people, and how it drives behavior and ultimately drives behavior towards some of the crimes that we talk about. Is that an accurate observation?
Yeah, yeah, it's very poorly understood, and we like to think that when you have people who work in institutions that they're paying more attention to it, but clearly sometimes they're not. I've seen it a lot also with people in the military, because often it's another case I'm thinking of was someone I was involved with some years back, but a young man became psychotic during boot camp, and they called it he's playing crazy, and he became increasingly ill and increasingly psychotic. And by the time I came into the situation, he had to be in 4-point restraints, held down in a hospital bed with a guard with a gun standing over him, which is not exactly a therapeutic situation. And it could have been caught early, and he could have been given some medication. And obviously, the military was not the right place for him. But the fact that they could not see this, and that they had some degree of mental health staff who didn't understand what was going on either, is really scary. So, prisons, military, probably a lot of places in our different governmental institutions, it's not well understood and not treated.
I mean, it almost feels like they put people into these positions where it's like they're good enough for what we want them to
Hmm.
be.
Hmm.
They don't know above this level, but above this level could actually backfire at us. So we're just going to keep them here, and it can keep reinforcing our previous beliefs or misunderstandings of mental health. Um,
Hmm.
it seems like a dig in thing to me, where it's like, well, this is how we've done it. This is what we believe, and I'm gonna just keep going because that's how it's always been.
Yeah, very true. And how to make the system move ahead and despite the harm that may be coming to people who are caught up in it in some way.
Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Bruschi, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.